Good morning, everyone. Before I start, I just have a little story because it was mentioned in the bio that I've got 30 plus years experience in GM. And I say that 30 plus years on purpose because it's 30 plus years. So I started in St. Catharines quite some time ago in 1980. But before I started, my first car was a Chevy Biscayne. 1965 Chevy Biscayne. And it's nice to see the Chevrolet Bolt electric vehicle outside in the electric vehicle parking lot. And there's a neat little story about that 1965 Chevrolet Biscayne. I bought it for my dad. He had it for 100,000+ miles. I turned 16, I wanted a car, and I said to my dad, I'll offer you $100 for that car. And my dad said to me, I'll give it to you if you get a haircut. If only he saw the future, he could have made $100. Anyways, it's amazing how much changes in such a short period of time, that we've gone from the technology that we used to have in the 60s and 70s to autonomous and electric vehicles that we have today. I'm going to speak a little bit today about GM's commitment to generate or source 100% of our renewable energy for electricity needs by 2050. But first, I want to talk briefly about our industry, where I think it's heading, and how this increases the value that we provide to our customers, and how the direction that we're going will help us reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. Disruption is everywhere. We expect to see more change in our industry over the next 5 years or so than we've seen in the previous 50. Today, new players are rapidly moving into our space. Companies like Google, Apple, Tesla, and Uber are, I believe, just the early winds of change. Some have called this the fourth industrial revolution, and others call this the Internet of Everything. Mary Barra, our chair and CEO, has set out a clear direction for General Motors, stating that our goal is to disrupt ourselves, own the customer relationship beyond the car. So this is the overriding direction that we're moving to as a company. And this is how it relates to where we think we are going. At GM, we look to the future and we see an auto sector that is electric, connected, autonomous, and part of the sharing economy. These four disruptive forces are now converging and quickly redefining the future of personal mobility. At GM, we are embracing this change as an opportunity to redefine our business models and increase the value we provide to our customers. If we get these changes right, we will be rewarded with the loyalty of many new customers. These changes will also have a profound positive impact on the environment. So let's expand on each one of these. First, we see a future that will be increasingly electric. We are very proud that in Canada, Chevrolet has sold more electric vehicles than any other brand, and this trend continues with Chevrolet Volt retail sales up 133% in 2016. And we're already seeing significant excitement over the Bolt EV. Adding to this, to its accolades, including named North American Car of the Year and 2017 Canadian Green Car Award winner, the Bolt EV is a true game changer, with the US EPA estimated 383 kilometers of range on a full charge and a Canadian suggested retail price of just under $43,000 before government incentives, which can be as generous as $14,000 in Ontario. So this is quite remarkable. What we have now is a vehicle in around $30,000, just under 400 kilometers on battery charge. Our first customers have already begun accepting deliveries of their Bolt EVs. This puts long-range, all-electric vehicles into the price range of more and more Canadians. Clean vehicles fueled by a clean grid, like ours here in Ontario, will help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The second trend, the connected car, is something we know a great deal about, as our cars have been connected to the wireless network through our OnStar safety system for the past 20 years, and is a key focus area for our work at our new Canadian Technical Centre in Markham, Ontario. With apps like My Chevrolet, customers can now have their vehicles at their fingertips with the ability to start, lock, or unlock the vehicle from almost anywhere, and to access real-time maintenance information like oil and tire pressure. Vehicle connectivity is about entertainment, productivity, and taking the internet with you wherever you go. Across North America, GM now delivers available in-car Wi-Fi in all of our new models. And with more than 500,000 vehicles equipped with 4G LTE Wi-Fi, GM has the most connected vehicles on Canadian roads today. Connectivity is also about safety, which is a top priority for us at GM. We were one of the first OEMs to introduce integrated mobile solutions like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which enable safe voice or steering wheel activated commands like hands-free calling, turn-by-turn directions, and voice to text. Drivers can stay focused on the road and not their devices. The more profound trend changing our industry is the arrival of autonomous driving. Autonomous is no longer the stuff of fiction or far, far away. It's here today, and I'll just a few minutes of an autonomous car driving through an urban environment, and you'll see on the bottom left-hand corner, hands are underneath the wheel, and that's by law, but the driver has to be ready to intervene. But over the course, the driver never touches the wheel. A few months ago, the Cruise Automation development team used an app to set their pickup and drop-off location and then took an autonomous drive that we're seeing right here through San Francisco. What we're looking through is the dash cam video of the results. So when you hear people say that autonomous is years out or years and years out, it's actually here, much quicker than we ever expected. Now that was cool. Now, most people are fascinated by the notion of a self-driving car. Others ask why do we need to do it? The World Health Organization estimates that globally there are more than 1.25 million road traffic deaths each year, and more than 35,000 people in the US and Canada die in car accidents, mostly due to driver error. The promise of autonomous technology is to help save lives. It will also help reduce congestion, improve traffic flow, and reduce emissions. Today, GM has the second most number of logged autonomous vehicle test hours and expanding testing on roads in California, Nevada, and in Michigan. The fourth and most immediate trend is the rise of the sharing economy and mobility as a shared service. There's no question that traffic congestion, insufficient public transit, and the pain of daily commuting are all changing attitudes among customers in profound ways. It often surprises people to hear us say that we are planning for a future where our city-based customers may not even need to own a car. For our industry, manufacturing, sales, and service will still be our core business, but mobility services will be the new business focus of the next 50 years. We will need to think in terms of not just selling vehicles, but selling kilometers and gigabytes. Part of our answer is a new mobility service division of GM we called Maven, now operating in the US, China, Germany, Brazil, and piloting right here in Ontario. The electric, connected, autonomous, and shared future that I outlined here today not only increases the value we provide to our customers, it will also have a significant impact on reducing our environmental emissions. Can you imagine the situation in an urban center where we have an electric, connected, autonomous, shared vehicle operating in increasing numbers in urban centers, significantly reducing the impact on the environment? We believe the future is electric, investing billions to support an all-in-house approach to electric vehicle research and development and manufacturing. We will also continue to advance numerous propulsion systems, hybrids, fuel cells, and diesel. And our efficient fundamental strategy encompasses aerodynamics, lightweight materials, advanced materials, and engine technology. General Motors signed the Series Climate Declaration stating that addressing climate change presents an economic opportunity. And our CEO, Mary Barra, and 12 other auto CEOs committed to a vision of decarbonizing automotive transport. These commitments also apply to our manufacturing. There's disruption and innovation taking place here as well. Let me talk a bit about our 100% renewable energy target. We are on the road to building green vehicles in green facilities. In 2014, we ended the use of coal in North America in our North American plants. We met the Voluntary Energy Star Challenge for Industry at an industry-leading 75 facilities globally, including our 3 manufacturing facilities in Ontario. We recycle an annual volume of about 2 million metric tons of waste materials annually, which avoids more than 8.9 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions, equivalent emissions, more than offsetting worldwide manufacturing greenhouse gas emissions. Amazing. Our waste management activities and the way we manage those materials offsets more emissions than the direct emissions from our factories. The money that we generate from recycling, up to $1 billion in recent years, goes right back into clean energy, technologies, and product innovations. Our manufacturing commitments. We've set targets to achieve 9 manufacturing sustainability commitments globally. These targets apply to all of our operations. They're tracked annually, and progress is reported in our sustainability report. These commitments include increasing community outreach activities, improving habitats and biodiversity at our facilities, reducing VOC emissions from our paint shops, reducing water consumption intensity, reducing total waste intensity, reducing energy consumption intensity, reducing greenhouse gas emission intensities. We aspire to be a zero-waste manufacturer, and we are increasing the use of renewable energy. We are committed to generating or sourcing all electric power for 350 operations in 59 countries with our 100% renewable energy by 2050. We understand that the world is changing and we are making bold moves to meet customer needs, conserve the resources our business relies on, and decarbonize the automotive industry. Our 100% renewable goal, along with GM's pursuit of electrified vehicles and responsible manufacturing, is part of the company's approach to strengthening our business, improving communities, and addressing climate change. We believe and continue to prove there is economic opportunity in addressing climate change. But how will we do it? If you look closely at the chalkboard, you can see that step 2 is quotation marks, then a miracle happens. No, we're not going to rely on a miracle. We actually have a plan to achieve our 100% target. We have a 20-year history of using renewable energy, which dates back to our first landfill gas project in 1995. With this legacy, one might think the new goal was an easy decision. But with a global annual consumption of 9 terawatt hours of electricity, moving forward with a 100% renewable energy goal required an awful lot of discussion and planning. The result is a roadmap that we expect will reduce our costs, make our facilities more resilient, and help scale adoption of clean power sources. With these factors, we believe our commitment to meet 100% of our electricity with renewable energy is an achievable challenge. As we continue to develop more renewable energy projects, we're helping grow the market. This is important to GM. We helped create a blueprint for industrial scale renewable energy. In 2005, we added solar to our portfolio, and in the last few years, we've signed power purchase agreements for wind energy. In 2010, we created a target to promote the use of 125 megawatts of renewable energy by 2020. We're already ahead of that schedule. Intermittency of reliability of wind and solar energy is another challenge. However, we believe GM is in a unique position to turn this challenge into an opportunity given our electric vehicle battery experience. GM is using Chevrolet Volt batteries for energy storage at our Milford Proving Ground data center office. We believe our battery technology will help meet future renewable energy storage needs. The first action to continuing to maximize our energy efficiency is conservation. By reducing energy use overall, there will be less electricity needs to be covered by renewable sources. We committed to reduce energy intensity from our global facilities by 20% by 2020 over a 2010 baseline, and in 2015 we've reduced it 14%. As I mentioned previously, we have 75 facilities globally, including our plants in Oshawa, St. Catharines, and Kami here in Ingersoll, meeting a voluntary energy reduction challenge set by the US EPA, more than any other auto company worldwide. GM Canada has been actively identifying energy-saving opportunities and implementing projects that help our facilities conserve energy. To help us meet our goals, we have dedicated energy managers in each of our Canadian plants focused on energy conservation. These energy specialists conduct energy hunts and exchange ideas with internal and external experts looking for ways to reduce consumption and peak demand. Since 2010, GM has completed lighting retrofits in our Woodstock Parts Distribution Center and has installed approximately 5,000 LED lights in Oshawa, Kami, and St. Catharines facilities. This has saved us approximately 30,000 megawatt hours of electricity consumption annually. Between 2012 and 2014, the installation of highly efficient variable frequency drive motors and the optimization of process and ventilation systems in Oshawa and Kami assembly plants have reduced our electricity consumption by over 18,000 megawatt hours annually. In 2013, Oshawa Assembly shut down its coal boilers and replaced the heating fuel with clean natural gas. In addition, our St. Catharines facility completed GM Canada's first renewable energy project, which uses gravity-fed canal water for cooling plant processes. Since 2013, These projects have saved approximately 9,000 megawatt hours of electricity annually. The combined effort of these energy conservation projects has saved GM Canada approximately $6 million and eliminated over 26,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions. Continued energy conservation will position us well as we work towards the 100% renewable energy goal. GM currently has 48 megawatts of solar energy at 24 facilities. This is equivalent to 145 American football fields of solar arrays. Our experience with solar energy dates back to 2005 when we installed 1 megawatt solar array at our parts distribution center in California, providing about half of the facility's electricity. Since then, we've installed rooftop and ground mount solar arrays in the US, Spain, Germany, South Korea, and China. GM's first wind project was in 2015 when we procured 34 megawatts of wind to power 4 of our Mexican facilities in Toluca, Silao, San Luis Potosí, and Ramos Arizpe. GM signed a power purchase agreement with Enel Green Power, who developed a very large wind farm in Palo Alto, Mexico. The use of wind helps these facilities avoid nearly 40,000 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions annually. Later that year, GM signed a power purchase agreement with EDP Renewables North America for 30 megawatts of energy from a planned 250 megawatt wind farm project in Texas. Our Arlington assembly plant expects to save about $2.5 million in energy costs annually, and over the course of the 14-year power purchase agreement, we will avoid more than 1 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions. And last year, GM made its largest purchase ever of 50 kilowatts of wind power from renewable energy systems, development of a 150 megawatt farm in Cactus Flats, Texas. When that contract begins in the first half of 2018, 6% of our global energy use will be powered by renewable energy. In 2013, our St. Catharines engine and transmission facility completed GM Canada's first renewable energy project. This 1 megawatt microhydro project harnesses the pure energy of water to cool processes in its operations. The plant's location near the St. Lawrence Seaway and Niagara Escarpment made the natural drop in elevation an ideal choice to deliver raw canal water. Using the force of gravity, an existing penstock delivers water via a 140-foot drop in elevation to the plant at approximately 40 pounds per square inch pressure. This 1 megawatt microhydro system harnesses the cooling energy of the canal water via heat exchangers to cool process operations. It eliminated cooling towers, chillers, pumps, and fans, and saved a significant amount of energy and emissions. GM is one of the largest industrial users of renewable landfill gas in the United States. We have 3 manufacturing facilities: Fort Wayne Assembly in Indiana, Toledo Transmission Plant in Ohio, and our Orion Assembly Plant in Michigan, all using landfill gas as an energy source. The landfill gas at Fort Wayne and Orion generates 4 megawatts of power, saves $4 million in 2015, and avoided 23,000 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions each year. GM Canada is assessing the potential to use a renewable landfill gas to generate electricity and heat for use at our St. Catharines engine and transmission plant. The proposed project will source landfill gas from a nearby landfill. The renewable biogas will be collected, cleaned, compressed, and distributed via an underground pipeline to our St. Catharines plant. The on-site 6.4 megawatt cogeneration plant will supply about 25% of the plant's electricity demand, and the excess heat will be used for seasonal heating, saving roughly 5,000 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions. That project is currently still being reviewed by the Ministry of Environment through its through its permitting process, and we are continuing to go through commercial contractual negotiations with our partners. I will now change direction a little bit and talk briefly about our landfill-free goal. It is related to climate change and reducing emissions. Last year, GM achieved a record number of landfill-free facilities, exceeding our commitment 4 years early. We now have 152 facilities globally that recycle, reuse, or convert to energy all waste from daily operations. This contributes to our top and bottom lines by driving efficiencies, generating revenue, and saving money. At GM of Canada, our Woodstock and Vancouver parts distribution centers, our Canadian headquarters in Oshawa, our St. Catharines engine and transmission plant, and our Kami assembly plant right here in Oxford County send zero waste to landfill. Our Oshawa assembly plant is rapidly closing in on this goal. It's challenging enough to send no waste to landfill from our homes, but imagine thousands of employees building hundreds of thousands of vehicles in facilities as complex as this auto assembly plant, sending no waste to landfill. Now that's amazing. We now aspire to be a zero waste manufacturer, applying our waste management hierarchy of eliminate or engineering out the waste, reusing it, recycling it, composting, and energy recovery. And here's just a small example of what can be done when we put our minds to it. Our objective is to reduce or eliminate the use of plastic bottles. But before we get there, and until we do that, we are now recycling more than 3 million plastic bottles from 6 GM facilities into insulation for coats, air filtration components used back in GM facilities, back in 10 GM facilities, and back into our products as noise insulation for engine covers used in the Chevrolet Equinox right here in Kami and Ingersoll. GM is working together with our suppliers to advance a more circular economy where materials are kept in use. The future of auto manufacturing in Canada is exciting. We're creating a culture of innovation across our expanding GM Canada ecosystem. We are doing this through our Canadian Technical Centre, Markham campus, where GM will develop new autonomous vehicle software and controls, active safety and vehicle dynamic systems, infotainment and connected vehicle technologies. We're also doing this at our Canadian Technical Centre in Oshawa and the safety track that we have there, safety test track that we have there. At our Campus Casing Cold Weather Development Center, an expanded test track which includes autonomous testing capabilities. And at 2908 Comutech, which are innovation outpost at Waterloo. And in the future through a recently announced new Toronto GM Mobility Campus. But we're also creating a culture of innovation at our manufacturing facilities in St. Catharines, Oshawa, and Kami, Ingersoll. Our commitment to sustainable manufacturing processes is one way we serve and improve the communities in which we work and live. Sending zero waste to landfill and using more renewable energy to power our plants helps us reduce cost, minimize risk, and leave a small carbon footprint. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Just a question, how do autonomous vehicles respond to emergency vehicles? How do autonomous vehicles respond to emergency vehicles that we encounter on the road?
I hope they pull over, but I can get that answer for you directly. Can you give me your name? Sure. Yeah. I would assume. Andrew. Question was, how do autonomous vehicles handle emergency vehicles? And I said, I hope the autonomous vehicle pulls over. But if I get your contact information, I'll get the exact answer. Yeah.
bio-renewable materials such as flax, hemp, or other materials into the structures of the vehicles?
Yeah, reusing materials back in our vehicles is done on a project-by-project basis, and we're looking for more opportunity to do that. So that one example of using the plastic bottles, so we take those plastic bottles, it goes through about 6 processes and 6 suppliers. The last supplier is actually a Canadian supplier in Quebec, and they take that plastic bottle, turn that into an noise insulating fabric, which goes onto the engine cover. But we've also done that similar activity with tires, other plastics and other materials, and continue to look for, on a project-by-project basis, where we can get the material back into our vehicle or back into another useful use. Keep the material in commerce. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.